Hi, I'm Jeremy Rademacher with Midwest Machinery. I'm a regional manager. I've been with the company for 24 years, serving in Alexandria for 13 years, 4 years at our Sauk Rapids location, and currently as location manager and regional manager for Paynesville. I also oversee Benson, Glenwood, and the Sauk Center locations. Today we're going to be going over our virtual round baler clinic. I'm going to be sharing some tips and tricks and preventative maintenance with you. Give everyone an overview. This video will mostly be talking regarding maintenance on your round baler. Things that you can do to increase uptime, increase performance, but also lower the cost of operation of your round baler. And again, some tips and tricks that we can provide you. We're also going to cover field team and how that can benefit you, and also the pre-buying of your Netwrap for the 2021 season, where you can save some dollars for yourself, for your operation, for the 21 growing season. So where we want to start today is doing a walk around on this round baler here. And critical part of a round baler operating correctly is making sure your drawbar to hitch pin to the PTO shaft, maintaining 14 inches. And then the top plate of your drawbar being at that 13 to 20 inches based on the tractor that you have in front of it. Now, some things to also keep in mind there is making sure you got your tractor set out wide enough, as wide as the windrows, because we don't want to put a lot of effort into the crops that you're trying to harvest here, and we don't want to lose them by not having the tractor set up correctly. So it's really important to make sure we got that the tires on the tractor set up as wide as the windrow or wider, just to give you some flexibility. A few of the other things that we want to cover is making sure when you're hooking up to the tractor, looking over the hydraulic hoses, looking over the electrical wiring, if you're going to be hooking it up yourself. The other big piece that we want to make sure that we're covering is supplying the power to your monitor. Where are you getting the power from? Making sure that you're using a convenience outlet to power up that monitor. It's just going to give you a lot less trouble over the course of the season by doing that. One of the things we see a lot of trouble with is low voltage, when we're not using that convenience outlet, the monitor is given error codes, and that can cause some headache for you. The other thing you want to make sure of when you're going through the process of getting it hooked up to the tractor is making sure you're getting the hoses and electrical tied up out of the way. Not too tight, but enough that you got some room for turning on the headlands and different things like that. What we're showing you here is a broken safety shield on the power shaft. Just really want to stress how important it is that we have all the safety shields on this equipment that we're operating. Just really trying to protect everyone and keep everyone safe. The other thing here that we're showing is inspect the gearbox. There's a gearbox, and to make sure that we're checking the oil level, and also using the correct gear lube and change as the service interval requires. As we're going around the baler, want to make sure we inspect the pickup, looking for any broken teeth, missing teeth. Our baler bands are all intact. Also making sure that the compression rods are all in place. They can be replaced. Just all these things that are going to help make sure that you are feeding the bale correctly is going to make a better bale, and a better bale is going to store better for the time period that you need it to. So very important to cover that as well. The other thing we want to look at is the roller baffle, making sure there's not any cuts or anything that can cause the crop that you're baling to not want to feed into the baler. The other thing we want to point out is that when you're buying pickup teeth, those pickup teeth that are in the center versus on the ends, they are different part numbers. So just really make sure that when you're talking to the parts department, they are two different sizes and two different part numbers. And then coming around the side of the baler and getting a look at the three different chains that we've got. Just really want to make sure that the long one, we keep it tensioned correctly. Chains, the better condition they're kept in, the better condition the sprockets are going to stay in. Just really making sure we keep that tension properly, but also making sure the guide blocks are operating correctly as well. On the chain that's right in front of us right now, just by adjusting that idler sprocket, to keep that chain tight. The chain not running tight is going to cup your sprockets, and cup sprockets are going to cost you money over a period of time. The one chain that you see kind of hidden in the back there, that's an endless chain. So there is no tightening or adjusting that can be done to it. That's just one that you got to keep an eye on, and when it's worn out, it's worn out. One thing that we do see people do is run oilers on their balers. So every time the gate cycles, the chains get a shot of oil, and that just helps increase the life over the period of time that you're owning the baler. Next, we're going to come around to the back of the baler. First thing we want to make sure of is making sure when we got that gate up that the safety latches are in the lock position. Not too many good things can happen if something would fail. Then we want to grab a look at the auger and flighting, inside left auger and flighting here, and just making sure that everything appears to be in good condition, but then also looking at the feeder fingers and the black plastic guides there, making sure they're in good condition. Those feeder fingers, if you break one, they can be replaced, or if you have enough of them missing. The other issue you can see is poor feeding. And as you can see on this baler, we got some flighting that's a little bent up, and those different things are going to cause performance issues over the life of the baler. So definitely things you want to keep an eye on. And like I said, those feeder fingers, you can replace them as well. Next, we'll be moving on to the belts. All the belts on this baler are brand new. The big thing we really want to point out here is replacing the pins in the lacing. That should be done every year at a minimum. And the idea behind that is it's just going to save you time and headache over the period of time you got your baler, because if those pins aren't replaced over the life of the baler, they will wear, the splicing will wear into them. And the only way to replace those pins then is to cut the splicing out, pull the roll out. The only way to replace those pins are to cut the splicing, pull the belt out, bring it in, put new splicing in, which is a lot more costly than a $4 pin to replace every year. So way better move for your operation to do that annual maintenance. Moving on to the wheel bearings. These things get a lot of road miles, and I think it's similar to checking a wheel bearing on any other piece of farm equipment. Jack it up, make sure there isn't any play in it, and make sure it's packed full of grease. Moving over to the right side of the baler, we got the shield off here, just to show this other chain, another chain on the right side of the baler to keep an eye on, and of course your hydraulic hoses and your twine, so forth. But your hydraulic hoses to take a look at and keep an eye on, make sure they're in good shape. And then if your baler's equipped with pickup gauge wheels, keep an eye on them as well and make sure they're in good shape. Next, we'll be doing a walk around here on the Netwrap. Starting on the left side, we got the drive belt. Just want to inspect that and make sure there's no cuts, no sharp edges on that pulley. And then looking at the brake for the Netwrap, that there's no grooves or that part of the operation being out of place. Then we'll be moving around to the back of the baler. The rubber roll, we want to make sure we keep that free of any cuts or debris. We see when you see wrapping on that black roll of Netwrap, we need to apply some baby powder to that roll and just really make sure we're not taking a pocket knife to that roll, because you're going to put seams or cuts in it, and over the period of time that's going to give you a lot of trouble with Netwrap wrapping. Then looking underneath the floor of where the Netwrap runs in on, just really making sure that there's all the welds are good and nothing's busted up, as that can give you trouble. And then we're looking at the brush here, which is a little hard to see, but every time you put a roll of Netwrap in, it'd be a good idea to take a screwdriver and run through there and just make sure there's no debris in that brush, which helps keep that roller smooth there that you see as well. And just making sure that there's no nicks or gouges in that steel roller. All those things can give you trouble when the hay is dry and you're trying to get the crop rolled up. So really just want to make sure we're doing the right things there, and again, not taking your pocket knife to that rubber roller. And we also want to cover the caps that you need if you're going to go from cover edge to edge, just to keep that Netwrap centered on the bale. So if you do some of both types of wrap, just make sure you have those caps on hand. And then the other thing we want to look at is making sure that actuator here is free and clear. Code that we see a lot of is the bale not wrapped, and there's an update to the flipper kit that'll eliminate the code that you might be experiencing if you get that error message on your monitor from time to time. So if you're having trouble with that, it'd be good for you to visit with the guys in the parts department or in the service department. Next, I want to go through some attachments that can help you in your operation. Variable core kit, a Beerwrap kit, preservative applicator, depending on where you're at. But if you do a lot of baling, quite a few guys have their own baler wear parts box. Not necessarily the parts box on hand, but having an extra belt on hand just for those times when you may need it, and it's easier to switch that out than chasing in town. The other thing that is available for the baler is the corncob filler plate, just to keep that crop feeding better. Hydraulic pickup lift, quite a few of the balers have that on. Side sheet enhancement kit, It's when you're doing a lot of corn stalks, and where the corn stalks are abrasive, and they really put a lot of they wear out the steel fairly quick, and as a way to update your older baler without trading. And then also we got the high moisture kit. If you're doing some baleage or wet hay, that makes it easier to get the bale started and the baler operate overall better. And again, we just want to doing this for those of you to increase your uptime, your performance, lower your costs of operation. It's really what we want to do for you here at Midwest Machinery. Some additional attachments that are available. The Diamond Tough Pro belts. We have different people with other brands of balers running the John Deere belts. They're tried and true and do stand up quite well for the guys in the other brands as well. We've got the auxiliary take-up roll kit. When you're in some windy conditions, hillsides, baling road ditches, any of that type of stuff. We've got the silage kit available, and then the corn stalk compression rack kit. And all these kits, all these different items or attachments that I've mentioned here are available through the parts department. You can speak to your salesman about it as well, or your service manager in your local store. Other thing we want to touch on is, we get this question quite often: is why should I go to Netwrap? The twine works just fine for me. Hitting some of the benefits, the time savings. Takes about 6 seconds to wrap a bale with Netwrap versus 20 seconds with twine. Reduce leaf loss. They also shed water better, and that's whether you use an edge-to-edge cover edge or the Beerwrap. And there's been some studies done by the universities. The dry matter loss can be cut up to 33% when you use Netwrap versus twine. Protect the crop material. The bale doesn't get scuffed up as easily if you're selling the crop, loading it on trucks. Netwrap is easy to load in the rear of the baler. And also just wanted to make mention for those of you that are currently running Netwrap, is that 2 wraps on hay alfalfa, 3 wraps on straw, and 4 wraps on corn stalks. Now, a lot of the people may argue, I don't need 4 wraps on corn stalks, and so much of that just depends on how many times the bale is going to be handled before it gets to the feeder or in the pen for bedding. So you have to be the best decision maker on that part and decide what's best for your operation, but just some recommendations that John Deere's provided us. The other thing that we wanted to touch on during this clinic was John Deere Beerwrap. Beerwrap is a product that allows you to store that crop that you've rolled up, hay, straw, corn straw, allows you to store it outside, but also protects the bale from the outside moisture. So it allows it to breathe, and it also allows for you to store the crop outside if you're short on space to get it under roof. On average, Netwrap bales stored outdoors had 10% dry matter loss versus Beerwrap bales at a 2% dry matter loss. So just another option for you if you're short on storage space inside, might be a good alternative for you to look at. And this is retro kit available back on previous model year balers. Doesn't have to be a brand new baler, can retro it back to previous model years and make that work for your operation. Field team. As part of this clinic, we just really want to make sure we're talking to you about Field Team and the benefits of it. Field Team, this program is on round balers. You buy a $215 round baler inspection. You bring the baler in and we inspect the baler. You pay the $250 up front, and then you get a $215 labor credit once the technician has perform the inspection, and he had $500 in repairs that he recommended. 215 of that you're going to get back, and you would have the balance left. So just really want to make a push for that, and how that can help your operation. Why field team? It's worry-free maintenance. You got trained professionals looking over the equipment. It adds value, trade-in value when you're looking at possibly updating. But also, if you're not going to be updating, it's extending the life of the equipment. And of course, the biggest one that you guys are all looking for is the most uptime. The other thing I want to make mention of is the hay inspections. They're on round balers, square balers, windrowers, mocos, platforms, and pull-type forage harvesters. The other thing to keep in mind, you can contact your local service manager from today until January 31st to get this field team purchased, and then they can get it worked into their schedule, or you can get it dug out of the shed when it works for you come this summer, or just however that works in your operation. Some of the other field team benefits, in addition to the round baler, based on your operation, but if you get to the bronze level, you get half rate loaner on tractor and combines, add-on services, you get a discount. And then we also have the John Deere financial programs. No payment, no interest until October 1st, 2021. Get up to the silver level. If you have a combine, so do 5 units, you can qualify for 30 hours of free loaner if we do all your recommended repairs. And then also the half rate loaner, half rate trucking, and some additional discounts as you continue to go up from 3 units to 5 units to 7 units to 10 units. Any questions regarding this, be sure to talk to your salesperson, parts person, service manager, the technician, whoever you're in contact with most. They can explain further and tell you how you can get signed up. Right now, we've got our Netwrap preseason sale going on. Now's your best time to buy and save money for the 21 growing season. Based on the number of rolls, we've got prices established for 1 through 6 rolls purchased, or if you go up to a pallet of, depending on the size of the wrap, could be pallet of 16 rolls or a pallet of 12, based on the size baler you have and so forth on that front. The other piece I really want to make sure, when you're comparing prices, everybody is understandably comparing prices, but just some things to keep in mind. Make sure you're comparing, your price per foot, because I think there is some competition out there selling less footage in a roller wrap. So the price obviously is going to be cheaper at the forefront. But the other thing you really got to compare is the Netwrap strength, the roll weight, the consistency in the roll, and all those things equal productivity and less downtime. There's also rebates that you qualify for based on each roll of wrap. And then we're also promoting, if you happen to purchase a new John Deere round baler, buy 4 rolls of Netwrap, you'll get 1 roll free. Something else to keep in mind. And obviously also having John Deere financial options, no payment, no interest until July 1st, 2021, to help with the cash flow of those inputs. So I want to take the time and thank you all for taking time out of your schedule to watch our round baler clinic, virtual round baler clinic. And hopefully you picked up some good tips and tricks out of this. And again, thank you for watching, and thank you for your business. May you have a great 2021 growing season. Thank you.